thank you everybody for actually giving me this opportunity to be here today. Like you said, I love driving conversations, but more importantly, conversations that give the youth a voice. And so I want us to bring the panelists to join me right here on stage, and I will call them as they come up on stage. Let me first of all start off with Uwase Vanessa, the project coordinator of the Youth Association for Human Rights, Promotion and Development. Let's appreciate Vanessa. Right. Our next panelist is none other than Theonest Ndungutse, National Peace Advisor and Social Protection Team Leader at Never Again. Let's appreciate him. Let's also put our hands together for Mutesi Faith, Program Manager, Citizen Voice and Actions. I want us also to bring to the stage Jolie Uingavie, Program Manager at Citizen Rights and Development. Is she here? Let's appreciate her. And then we have Dr. Eric Ndushabandi, who I'm told is joining us virtually. Doctor, you keep running away from me. There's a time I called you, we do the summit together, you are not available. Today again, I was hoping to see you here in person. But nonetheless, at least technology is allowing us no running away today, Doctor. Thank you for joining us on this session today. Thank you very much. Dr. Ndushabandi is joining us live virtually. I want us to start this conversation, but I want to remind all of us that it's an interactive conversation. I want us to be open-minded, be able to join in with questions and give our thoughts in this conversation. I want to start off, and I like the fact that there are many ladies on this panel. Many times I have manels, not panels, full of men only, but this is good. Let me start off first of all by trying to understand the aspect of amplifying youth voices. When we say amplify, it means that we need to increase something. The volume is low, so we need to amplify the volume. And so I want us to start off first of all by understanding, as we speak today, what level is the volume of youth voices, so that we can now start thinking whether we really need to amplify or it is okay where it is at this particular point. I want to start with you first of all. Just talk to us a bit about that.
Amplifying youth voices, as it has been mentioned, it means letting your voices heard, valued, and considered in decision making. So far, the volume is not enough. We need to improve the voice. When you look at the youth participation in civic spaces, in decision making, public policies, it is still low. We need more youth engaging meaningfully. And when it comes to meaningful engagement, it has to start from the designing of the programs. As long as lives of youth is concerned, if something is for you, without you, it's against you by default. So your voice has to be heard and valued. Thank you.
We can appreciate if you want to. It's a democracy, eh? Thank you for that. The voices are not loud enough. This is what you say. I want to hear from you, Uwase. Why are these youth voices not as loud as we'd wish them to be? What's causing this? So that we can start thinking about how we can start the amplification before we even get into the aspect of politics and all that.
Thank you so much for that question. I would just like to start maybe by giving numbers. You know, in Rwanda, when you look into the total population, the youth constitute 27%. And when we look into the 27%, those who can read and write Kinyarwanda are 89. Those who can read and write in English are 33. And those who can do so in French are 5.4. And I would start with saying the information, the way it's being given. If we have the number that by 89 point something, we can read and write in Kinyarwanda, but the number reduced by almost 50 something, when we go into English, and almost all information, and this discussion is also in English. Now we're going to see how are the youth going to be informed on the policies, on the framework, on the flagship that are being given elsewhere. And also not only about the information that's being given in a certain language, but we have youth with disability, and so far they are 3%. And I think that the Union of People with Disability said that the number might be higher than what was given by the National Institute of Statistics. So now the question would be, do young people have information that are inclusive, that are friendly in a way that are attractive to these young people? If you look in the number that was provided by the Never Again research, they said that 4 in 10 young people in Rwanda have attended the National Youth Council meetings. So these are meetings that are concerned, that consult young people where they are supposed to give their voices.
Yeah.
But if only, not even the half can attend those meetings. So you see that their voice can't be amplified if we don't even have access to platforms that are there for us.
Right. Well, still you have the microphone. I want to pick up on the aspect of the language that you mentioned. And I want to try to ask this based on what I've heard some people say, that we are no longer supposed to think local because the country has opened up. We have joined various regional bodies, including the Commonwealth. And so we need to stop thinking local and maybe sitting in a corner and saying this conversation or what is being given is in English, a language you don't understand. How can young people take initiative, even if a message or information is being shared in a language they don't understand? What would you want to see in terms of taking initiative to be able to pick up what is being said?
Thank you for the question. You know, to take initiative, you have to be empowered. You have to know that you are seen, you are valued and considered, as Jocelyn said. And so for young people to even take initiative in their own languages, they have to know that there are platforms there. And we have on district level YEGO centers. But the question would be, if you visit YEGO centers, who have been to a YEGO center here?
YEGO centers.
No one have been to YEGO center. Oh, and we have YEGO centers. And if you look on services that are provided there is empowerment that young people can go there and share. One of the successful stories that I know at one of the YEGO centers is there were young people who did accounting, and they formed a group, and they would go there and they exchange softwares. They learned QuickBooks and other software that they use. So that's an initial platform that they have in their district, and they went there and took advantage of that. And they didn't need to know English because the communication would be exchanged in Kinyarwanda. So the first concern would be, do we know this platform that are there? Do we know that we have the YEGO centers? Do we know that we have Inteko z'abaturage to go there and exchange our ideas? So we have to be aware of the initiatives that are there for us,
right,
to be able to take advantage of them.
Right. Thank you for that. I want us to pass on the microphone to Mutesi. Mutesi, Citizen Voice and Action. I'm just going to pick the title of the organization represent. And here we are talking about voices. And from what we've heard from the previous speaker, is that some of this information sometimes is available, but not available in the language or in a way that is easy or inclusive for those who need it to get it. So then what do? Do we sit, lie down and die, cry, say, oh, they're giving us things which we don't get? What do we do as young people then?
I think what we do as a Citizen Voice and Actions is actually what we are doing right now today, amplifying youth voices. The reason why we are amplifying that voices is that we still see the gap between youth participation. So going straight forward to the question you're asking, is that we do this because we want to empower youth to be part of decisions that shape their lives, to be part of the decisions that shape their communities. So we do this through empowering them and equipping them to be active members of inclusive society, increasing youth participation through our models. Like we have some youth, maybe here, some of them, they are participating now. So we do this through our models where we empower youth and equip them with knowledge they need and skills through the models we use, like Generation Leadership Academy, where we coordinate or we conduct a 2 weeks intensive youth mentorship and leadership program, whereby we combine youth from across the country. They meet together, they sit down, we look for the the lecturers, the speakers, influential speakers, to encourage them and to give youth with knowledge and skill they need to become active. So we do this also in Polytha Youth Dialogue, whereby we combine youth from across the country annually. So this dialogue becomes like a safe space for youth to know what they have to be, to know what they have to do, to know what what is being done in their country. So it becomes like a safe space to amplify youth voices and be the space for youth to raise up their views. So we invite also the local authorities, decision makers, so that they sit down and see what youth need to be done for them.
Yeah, and I want you to be very honest without being diplomatic. How is it like working with young people?
For my side, as someone who normally works day to day with youth, it is not easy because all the time youth are not aware for the programs being carried out, as previously Vanessa said. So they don't aware of what is going on. We have normally the large number of youth, they just sit there, they can say, normally I quoted the quote of His Excellency one day, where he was saying that don't just sit down and say, "Ntegereje icyo bankorera." What are you doing? Before waiting for someone to do for you what are you doing? So it's better that youth could be doing or participating, yet waiting for the opportunities. But we have normally the large number of youth who just sit there and wait for opportunities to come for them.
Yeah.
So they don't have the full information. So that's why we are trying to raise them, to equip them with the skills they need, so that we could see the high number raising for youth participation. We could see youth who are very active and looking for the opportunities than just sitting there down waiting for the opportunities to come for them.
Right.
Yeah.
And the ones seated in this room are not the ones you're saying.
I know.
Okay. Theonest, I want to bring you on this conversation. Just speaking from what you've heard from the previous speakers, but also what you do at Never Again Rwanda. What do we need to do, or where do we need to start from if we are to really amplify youth voices in national issues, including democratic processes in this country?
Thank you, CVA, for having me here today. I do believe that a lot has to be done, even though there is an enabling legal framework in Rwanda for youth participation. I will not talk about the constitution and the decentralization policy and the youth policy, because I assume that almost everyone here knows something about them. I will start with quoting our research conducted in 2018 regarding the law participation of citizens in Mihigo processes, where we found three big findings. The first one is that most of the time youth are not attending community-based platforms where consultations are being made. And here I want to talk about Inteko z'abaturage, Umuganda, citizens assemblies and so forth, where the issues that matter to them are being debated. Number two is that most of the time the budget allocated to the youth needs and priorities are very minimal at the district level, because sometimes they are being used for other functions to cover some of the big events where the district think that it can maybe contribute to the visibility or covering other expenses. And lastly, from my experience, this is my 10th year serving Never Again Rwanda. And during this period, I got an opportunity to work fully on youth empowerment for the last 6 years. I've realized that some of the youth don't have enough confidence to share their views and opinions in public spaces. And this also has an impact on their lives, because if youth are represented in Njanama advisory councils, and they are only there to wait for the president to give them the speech, they end up finally not really getting that opportunity to influence decisions being made. And of course, there are other factors behind this, because this lack of budget of resources impacts them negatively, because the elected committees don't get enough money
Yeah.
to go down at the SER and ISIBO levels
Yeah.
to consult the constituencies. And this has an impact, because they will also not be able to provide feedback on the decisions being made at those different levels. So amplifying the youth voices should go hand in hand with allocating resources. And it would be very nice to have a separate budget, exclusively a budget for the youth, to be able to cover for the Imihigo, and most importantly, ensuring that Imihigo for the youth are not top down, because we realize that the Ministry of Youth are the one to design Imihigo, and they send to the youth at the district and sector. So if youth should come up with the Imihigo, and also the local leaders avail the budget required to implement those Imihigo, this is going to amplify youth's voice, because they will implement what they believe in and what is really important to impact positively the community.
Right. Thank you for that. I don't want to use the word pushed, because today's young people, you cannot push them. We're in a generation where you're talking to your child and their child is telling you, Mom, why are you shouting? What can we do? How do we make it something that young people can take ownership of these processes? You know.
Can you hear me?
Actually, as previous speakers have said, we also realized this issue from the ground experience. Young people are not participating. We do participate in different.
Hello.
We do attend different community consultation platforms, but when you look at the attendance and participation, because there is a difference between attendance and participation, you can attend but not participate. When you look, not going into participation, even attendance is low. You can't participate when we are not even present. But one of the root causes behind from the experience we have from the ground is that existing community consultation platforms, be it in Hekwazaba, these weekly assemblies, they are not youth friendly. When youth participate, when youth attend, they lose it. It seems like it's boring. They are discussing family issues. It's part for communicating some announcements, but when you look at the giving priority youth needs and concerns, it's not the more focus of these existing community consultation platforms. So to ensure that youth get inspired to attend and participate, local leaders should look into how these spaces can be more friendly. Like there is an approach we are using where elected youth leaders are co-facilitating these existing platforms. They participate in development of agenda so that one of the components on agenda includes youth priorities. This is motivating their constituents to attend.
I still want to pick you on the same. If you had the powers within the people who are actually deciding on the format of these sessions, you said they're not youth friendly, they're boring. What would you change other than the co-facilitation by young people? What else would you propose to change to make Umuganda more fun? For example, do we call the Ben and Medi to come to the session so that we can go and dance Munda and the rest? How else do we do it?
Well, we know youth love entertainment. We can use these entertaining things to attract more youth, but also we can allocate sufficient budget to the NYCs, because this is an existing platform for youth specifically. This is NYC, it is decentralized to the village level, and they are supposed in their mandate, if it's one quarterly, if I do remember, to meet their fellow constituents and gather their opinions, discuss their issues, so that during administrative council, they come with something on table instead of coming, listening from the president of administrative council. So if sufficient budget is allocated, they will be able to meet young people in that interactive way, because they do have in their mandate, they do have that responsibility to meet young people on quarterly basis. But they don't do so because they are mobile. They are moving to look for a job because they are not being paid. If youth cannot be expected to be volunteers, if they can be given sufficient resources, even their existing platforms are going to be friendly and more participatory to make their voices heard.
Right. Thank you. Do we have Dr. Eric? Is everything good? Okay. So Dr. Eric, if you can hear me, I'm going to repeat the question. So what is the role of those in the academia like you in trying to instill a sense of ownership to young people, especially for them to participate in democratic processes, national issues, without them thinking that someone has to do these things for them to attend? We've heard here that some do not attend, events or sessions like Umuganda and all that. How can people like you within the academia space, or what are you doing within the academia space to instill a sense of ownership for young people to know that these processes belong to them and no one is coming to save them?
Thank you very much. Eugen, I was expecting such a very concrete and difficult question, but thank you for basing on the experience, concrete experience as an academia. By the way, I didn't want to make a very formal academic presentation here again. And I will base, by the way, on this story. When Rwanda Governance Board was launching the civil self-organization barometer, a few weeks ago, I was in class in Huye. I was teaching African contemporary politics. Then I asked the students if they know about civil self-organization in Rwanda. Many of them were not capable to quote any of those organizations. And I saw that the question was maybe to understand what is it and what is wrong. Then when I asked them if they are part of some clubs and associations, for more than 80 students, I think I found just a few 5 people who were capable to say they are part of clubs and associations. Second question was about parties and engagement in parties. This one was a very sensitive.
Hold on, Dr. Eric. Hold on, Dr. Eric. Please, anybody who's online, please mute your mics.
To not be pointed out. So share experience participating in engaging parties. And many of them saying they are part of the Umuryango RPF. Then I said, are you sure? Is RPF really count on you that you are really engaged? Are you convinced?
Dr. Eric, please hold on. Dr. Eric.
The debate was around how many political parties do you have in Rwanda? Are young people in universities free to engage in any political party? So I was shocked by these 2 first points. The last one, I asked them if they are part of any local community engagement. Oh, you can't hear me.
No, we can hear you. We can hear you. We wanted just everybody else to mute their microphones. But thank you. Now all are muted. You can continue, please.
I can continue, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Then the third question was, how do you consider students in the Huye campus? Are they part of any mudugudu here around? Are you engaged in a district? Can I talk to Mayor Ange and ask if really he's feeling that the presence of such number of young people in Huye, is it an added value for the district? and how this can make difference for having this big number of young people there. Once again, at this very third question, I found my students that they are not really very much active in this community engagement. They talked about Umuganda somehow, and at the end I said, do you know or have you participated in citizen forums? And I remember one of the days I was teaching was Tuesday, when I asked my students if they participate in these citizen forums. This was a total silence in the class. Then, if I go up, I was challenging them if really young people are aware of current African contemporary issues, and how ready are they to engage in participating or even acquiring knowledge and engage at the international level. And this was the point of competitiveness to engage with the other youth in the world to address some of the pressuring issues at the continent. So this one as well, I found that people are still demanding for more confidence and self-confidence in knowledge. So I was saying, do you know that the content I'm giving to you is the same content we can find in Brussels where I teach or somewhere else in the world? Did you know that? And we have to co-produce together the knowledge. So you can't blame any education system one more and saying you are not having appropriate content to make you confident and engage in contributing or participating to resolve issues on the continent. So Eugene, you allow me that I'm having the 4 levels and I'm mixing here, by the way, the participation at political level, but also at the global level and up to the local level.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Eric.
So what can I say?
Got you there.
From this mapping and feeling? I could say, first of all, our young people, our students in universities and colleges are the product of our social processes. They are the product of our history. They are either, yes, they are product of our socialization in families, but also in social, political, and economic structures. But what we can say on this, without blaming any social structures, I'm saying here communication, intra-family communication, or engagement in family businesses to be consulted. But there is another level of understanding this, that as you are going for acquiring knowledge from our digital spaces, for our internet, I think we are having laziness. People are not anymore active at the age to take advantage of the opportunities they have and work hard. The discourse, the political discourse, saying that the young people are the leaders of tomorrow, I think it is making some young people dormant, thinking that they can do whatever they can do today and waiting until tomorrow, they reach tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which is not right mind and the understanding. I think the narrative around the young people as the generation for the next must change and say it's enough. And when you see young people, they are not behaving in this direction. They are not going in this direction. It's not about the channels and the mechanisms of participation. There are many of them. From these forums, from conferences, from parliament representation of young people, Pan-African space, we can see that young people really are represented at all these levels.
Yeah.
We can even go further saying child commission or the representation of children in the in the parliament annually, engaged in different forums for peace, for governance, democracy days. I think all these have been very known opportunities for young people to develop and to engage.
Right, Doctor, I'm
But
going to stop you there just for
let
now.
me conclude for now by challenging once again ourselves
Yeah.
by saying how young people are really empowered, and here empowered is not just skilled, but skilled, which is bringing to feel that they are the social responsible. And then we make difference between political leadership participation and civic engagement, being responsible citizens. I have been attending in schools a few weeks ago there in Rwanda, teaching young people human values to make them confident for being global citizens. I think the problem is the skills you are giving to people must be understood like it is bringing them to solve problems or bring changes, not just to have a certificate and seek for jobs.
Thank you, Dr. Eric.
Then I'll make a very last point about youth-led organizations, which is very promising. And I take this opportunity to thank CVA for inviting me and for leading this organization. I was responding to another organization. I've been closer to young people. I can see the good move that young people are now not just joining civil society organizations, but they are creating their own organizations, and this is promising. But once again, we need really to make people active and work very hard. Then they can participate in producing policy options. Then can be capable to advance. I used to say to my students generally that we should produce together the knowledge. Do not wait for me to give me your PowerPoint or readings, but let's have this topic and let's co-produce together. And we are developing our research skills to produce knowledge, to produce policy options. Let's summarize it and make it in a presentation, which is a communication skills. Third, let's orient our presentation for resolving any of the problems we have been highlighting in this Africa and in this Rwanda.
Thank you.
So those are the few ideas I can give about the methodology of teaching and how this methodology can bring people to shape their citizenship.
Thank you, Dr. Eric. Let's appreciate him. Let's give him a round of applause. Dr. Eric, I forgot to tell the people in the room that I'm dealing with a professor. And so, you know, we stand a risk of actually not being able to say stop there for now, because Prof has to actually give the lecture in that tone, in that nature. Thank you, Prof. Please stay with us because we still need some of your input on this conversation. I want to come back in this particular panel right here and try to pick a bit of some of the things that Dr. Eric has mentioned, but also try to move the conversation forward, especially on the aspect of democratic processes and the participation of young people. A lot of people continue to say that politics is a dirty game. And sometimes young people even say, politics or things to do with politics, nagovindeva, that is none of my business. I think for me, I'd rather think of other things. I want to start from the far left, Theonest. Talk to me a bit about that notion of politics being something that young people would want to stay far away from, and how that is a risk even for their own, good.
Great. In my opinion, I think we need to think from our context while responding to this, because youth in Rwanda have to first be educated about our context, where Rwanda came from ashes after the 1994 genocide. So youth first have to be educated. We need to invest resources in educating the youth about the Urugwiro village conversations, all the processes that has led to the constitution that we have now. Because with the work we've been doing with the youth, some of them have been saying, during the 1994 genocide, there were some of the youth who were involved in MRND, who have been part of the ruling party, and they don't want to be involved in any political party. So like this, they are saying that it's a dirty game. So I think youth should embrace this culture of being involved in the affairs that matter to them, especially in transforming the communities and also building the nations that all Rwandans deserve, like His Excellency the President said last year, to mark the celebration of the Liberation 2023. So I do believe that education, like Prof said, is very important, though we have numbers. So participation should go beyond numbers, should go beyond NYC representation, should go beyond being part of the parliament, because only 2 people representing the whole country, more than 70% of the population. So just to respond to your question, I think there is a need of continuous mentorship and also regular capacity building for the National Youth Council committees, because we've realized that once they are elected, there is only maybe the sector coordinator and the district level committee who are trained, who are inducted, who receive induction trainings, leaving those in the committees below frustrated. There is one at the sector who bears the burden, while others remain frustrated and misinformed. And just to also give the floor to others, I think it is very important for us, everyone here, government and stakeholders, to simplify the policies. Policies, simplifying them means putting them in different forms, like, for example, videos, short videos on TikTok, or whatever, where youth can easily access them. Because if I have to read the decentralization policy, I have to sit for 3 hours to read it, it becomes very, very, very difficult. And again, if the Inteko z'abaturage, they are discussing about tough issues, as a youth, I think sometimes I don't find a need to go there. So also tailoring those conversations to the needs, the real needs, like unemployment or other issues that are interesting to the youth, could make the difference.
Right. That's a loaded intervention. Thank you very much for that. Uwase, I want to hear your thoughts, especially on what he says on the aspect of 2 people representing over 78 or over 70% of the entire population. Are you of the idea that that has to be adjusted, changed? Do you feel that the 2 that represent young people have failed in actually bringing to the forefront youth issues? Are they not being proper role models to encourage more young people to want to be part of the political processes? How do we go about this? I mean, this is what I want to hear from you.
Thank you. Before building on that, I think that there is a need of going with education, as theorists have said. But I want to bring in an informal education that most of the time is overlooked, but it plays a crucial role. I think for youth to be empowered, it starts at home. It starts being taken into consideration in decisions that are needed to be done at home. Because even if I can't say what's needed at home, what gives me the confidence that I can go in front of 100 people and say something that can be considered. So I think there is a need of taking it to informal education as well, to encourage parents, because they're the one who are going to participate in.
So you're saying at home, democracy starts at home.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Dad cannot say today you sleep at 9 because tomorrow is school. The kids should say,
let's
We
have
want
a
to sleep at
discussion.
10:30. Let's have a
have a
discussion.
And then you have to tell me, why do I have to sleep at 9?
Uh-huh.
You know, I think that's where we're going with Gen Z, and
Uh-huh.
the blame that Gen Z is taking is that
Yeah.
they're not participating. But for them, the way of thinking, which also raised the generational conflict, because in the INHECO, the discussion that they are giving when the young people say something, they're like, no, you're still young, wait and see.
Yeah.
So if you tell me that, just trust me, I'm not coming again.
Yeah.
So I think it has to start. So going back to your question, of if the two people are enough. I think when we select the committee, when we elect the committee, we don't elect two people. We have, I think it's 7 positions, so it's 7 people that we're electing, but you find that only 1 person is acting the name of the 6 remaining. And the 6 are frustrated because they don't know what to do because their roles and responsibilities are not clear enough. And then the 1 is also burdensome because they're taking roles of the other 6. So I think there is a need of making the roles and responsibilities very clear,
Yeah.
so that they work alongside.
Yeah.
And there also need to be continuous empowerment session and mentorship session to these leaders. And they can be done by either the local leaders, but also other elders in the community, where they're like, okay, you're representing young people. We don't see young people in the Umuganda. What are you doing? Do you have WhatsApp groups? We have, okay, in our village, we have a WhatsApp group for the village with all the elders, but we don't have the one for young people. So if I go in the village, my dad is already there. So why do I need to go in the group? You see? So if we have that group for young people, I think that's a motivation. As much as money is needed, but we can also look for solutions that always don't need money.
Yeah.
And I think a WhatsApp group that doesn't need money.
Yeah.
And
So
these
can we commit that
people-
after this session today, you're going to create that WhatsApp group
if
for young people?
if I have a chance to meet the NYC
Yeah.
leader, I can tell them that.
Yeah.
But do I see them?
uh-huh.
And I think it also goes down to the Yego centers.
Yeah.
If Yego centers are empowered, if Yego centers have coordinators who are just located at the Yego center, who are not being a Yego coordinator, but at the same time they are mobilized at the district level, where the mayor is calling them, hey, we need to build an office. Can you go and call volunteers to come and build? But the Yego Center is there to empower. We know as young people, we have this center for us. We have a computer library. I think that also would like reduce the burden for the other 2 people.
Right. Mutesi, what's your take on this? Are we being unfair to young people by saying they don't want to participate in political processes, yet they are, but in a different way, especially through the online platforms? Because what is democracy is if WASAC has taken 1 week without you having water, and you go on Twitter and say, hey, Namaz Dufite, it's been 1 week, as part of democratic processes. There's now a debate about reducing the age of marriage to 18. And we are seeing people on Twitter and other platforms talking about it. Has the participation evolved? And it's not what we think we will see, but something different, or I'm just seeing my own things?
Thank you. If I want to talk about the youth participation, let me first talk about the way we are using the policies available for youth participation, because as Theonest said, we have to simplify the policies that are existing for youth participation, because being representing does not mean participating, as Juscelino said, because you can see normally the NYC at sector level, national level, but you are asking yourself, what are they doing? They are just there for the positions. I'm sorry to say that, because you see only one face, the coordinators. But normally, if they set policies for spaces for youth and they let the youth participation be included, not just counting numbers, looking at policies. The policy says that we have to have 2 youth representing in parliament. So, when you see the number in the parliament and you see the number of the youth we are having, so you see that we have a lot of to be done on youth participation, because you take 2 youth to represent other youth, but the country has a large number of youth who need to be be given space or participating. So,
But Vanessa, sorry to cut you short. When you say you ask yourself, why are you asking yourself? Why don't you ask them? Why don't you, what is stopping? And when I say you, it's not just you as Vanessa, but young people, people within the spaces that you represent. Why don't you question this? Why don't you ask them for accountability? Why don't you push for those policy simplification demands? What is happening? Look at all this room. If all of these people here in this room said we want this policy to be simplified, it will be done within a minute, I think.
Sure.
What is stopping that?
So, as I said before, that's what we are doing. When you empower youth, or when you keep youth with knowledge and skills they need to be active participants, that's the journey they could raise, understand, amplifying their voices. They can do it for themselves. But when they are not empowered and given space for mentorship, they can't get that knowledge. So I think it is the journey we have to do, we as civil society organizations, government institutions, so that we could equip youth with knowledge needed so that they can stand up and demand for what they need to be done for them. Like when I talk about simplifying the policies, like you have seen the way this campaign for Tungweres was moving around this, everywhere you stand, Tungweres. It is because those who raised that campaigns used the simplified policy for it, like social media engagement, videos, what. It is not just a handout to give out to the youth in the community who does not even know how to read and write, but they used videos, like theaters. They pushed the campaign so that it could reach to everyone down the community at local level and national level. So that's why I say that it is a journey. A lot have been done, but we still have a long journey to move out with the youth participation.
Yeah. Jolie, I want to bring you in. If you want to appreciate, please go ahead. You can appreciate what you're hearing on this floor, because any moment from now, I'll open the floor for you to also ask your questions or bring in your interventions. Jolie, tell me about this statement that I'm going to say. Civil society have actually failed in actually piling pressure where it's supposed to be to allow for more participation of young people in election or democratic processes. True or not true?
I think they haven't.
They haven't. Because you're one of them?
Not because I am not.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm part of civil society.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to elections, there is a national party in a national body in charge of that.
Yeah.
What we do is just raising awareness to let people know their rights, what is required, and how they can do that to ensure that their participation in election process is sound.
Yeah.
And I think civil society try their best to do so.
On civic education.
On civic education.
Yeah. You don't seem satisfied by that yourself. I'll give you a moment as I bring in Dr. Eric. Dr. Eric, if you're there.
I can hear you well.
Wonderful, Dr. Eric. Dr. Eric, I wanted to ask you this, and picking from the recent RPF Congress, where President Paul Kagame is actually asking the party to give him a successor. Why are professors of political science like you failing to support in developing young people who can be able to take up this role that, is giving the president, pressure in terms of the succession politics of this particular country? What is it that you're doing? How do we now churn out politicians that are young people who can be able to continue driving the development of this country in one or another? What is going on in that front, especially allowing young people to participate in political processes?
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, go ahead.
So I was saying that one of the experience, when in 2008, I started as an independent trainer for political parties in Rwanda. We had a problem of having intra-party democracy, and I'm taking here political party as the main channel through which young people can engage, exercise the power, and taking over for the next generation succession. When we have been trying with the NDI, this is a very American-based organization, to develop some intra-party democracy. we came to realize that youth people were not capable really to engage and to change things internal political parties. You can't imagine the political will in this country, how it is developing. At the same time, the forum of political parties in Rwanda, they said, let's now develop a young leadership academy. This is for very young people engaged in political parties. Then we can mentor them, they can change things in the political parties. So I think having, and even myself now, I'm teaching a political leadership management.
I propose you can switch off the video for network purposes.
Perceptions
Can
around
you hear
political
me?
parties, a very negative
you hear me?
engagement in politics. I said this is a social result or history result of our context. Where people are is engaging in politics because of these negative perceptions of our heritage of and the dictatorship regimes in the past, but also the genocide, the context and impact of politics in this. But the perceptions around political parties is changed and the engagement is growing. But once again, you know that the people should
Dr. Eric, can you hear me? Dr. Eric, can you hear me, Dr.
It is
Eric?
pluralism. It is a very competitive content in this constitution of ours.
Tech team.
So the
please
main channel
put
of
my
political
mic on.
engagement is political parties. Second, I have been seeing people spontaneously engage in elections at local level. But once again, when you see the engagement of young people, and young people here is 30, 35, in the local government, the participation is still low. This one. Second, it's about engaging in economic. TVA, close your mic, please.
Dr. Eric, can you hear me?
Rwanda.
Can you hear me, Dr. Eric?
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I want to know why is the participation low? And that's what I want us to discuss here. What do we do to actually make it more? We know it is low. We know the voices are low.
I was talking from the perspective of continuous, very practical empowerment programs to develop these spaces of political parties to engage in politics. But I was taking other alternative spaces where young people are engaging in politics and taking positions. It's local level, and this is between 30 and 35. But unfortunately, the result from Haguruka, I think, or another report showing that it's still low. What is about economic empowerment? Engagement in economic councils. It's very important. As people, we are still having young people who are depending on a job application instead of getting jobs and acquiring.
Sorry, Dr. Eric. Dr. Eric, you can hear me? Dr. Eric, sorry, I keep interjecting. It's because I'm not hearing what I'd love to hear. The question I'm going to ask again is, why is the participation in political processes low? You mentioned it is low. I just want to understand why is it low and what are you doing within the academia space? Not just you as Dr. Ndushabandi, but your peers within the space. What are you doing to change this narrative?
The political participation is very low because of this historical context, this one, and traumatic period across the through. And talking about education is very important because it's deconstructing negative perceptions of politics, which is the basis for engaging. Another parameter for not engaging in politics is a structural problem of communication between the elders and the young people. Those spaces are very, very, very controlled and very closed because of mindset and the social structures.
Yeah.
So what is done is to encouraging for intergenerational dialogue spaces like these ones.
Yeah.
And at the university, when they institutionalize the Wednesday afternoon, for example, to encourage people to participate.
Yeah.
But the problem young people are still going for this laziness and for easy businesses, entertainment businesses, instead of going for these spaces where young people can take the mic and engage. So the youth-led political spaces and political dialogue, it's very key. And I'm not saying, unfortunately, it's very much well structured at the university. And the main space, which have been very much developed, is about Pan-African movement. It has been highlighted as the first spaces among the spaces where young people are engaging and they are leading themselves the spaces, the universities.
Right. Thank you.
So we are claiming for more space to empower young people to lead themselves.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. Hold that thought, please. Just hold that thought. I'm going to come back again to pick your views. But who best to ask the same question than the young people themselves who are actually in this room, especially on the aspect of participation in democratic processes, including elective roles. I would like us to be able to pick questions in this particular flow. I see a hand up over here. Do we have extra microphones? Or we're going to share these ones? I can give this out. This gentleman here has a question. So I want to understand, why is it that you do not participate actively in democratic processes as a young person?
My name is Eric Mucho. Firstly, I would like to thank for this opportunity. I have a question I can ask the Mr. Ndongotse.
Could you answer mine first?
I can answer.
Yes. Why do you participate in democratic processes?
Yeah.
And why do you think young people like yourself do not?
I think the reason why our young people is not participate in the democratic, we still have the problem of engaging for that democratic. For example, in Rwanda, we must engage by using social media. We cannot meet with that leaders and give them our idea. We engage by using social media. Sometimes that message of social media, they cannot be, that leader cannot read that message. So it can be the problem, because when you write the message, you cannot believe that message can go and can go directly to that leader. So that is why that is the thing. So
Thank
my
you.
question, can go to my question. I have a question about the youth. So youth, they are not happy to live in Africa. The reason why, I have the testimony. I have the short testimony. I have my friend. He got the scholarship for studying in Africa in 2023, but he rejected that scholarship. I want to go abroad. So many youth, they want to go abroad because in Africa there is no happy in Africa for youth, because they didn't engage for that that things we have said. So my question said that how we can increase the volume of the voice, we can increase the volume of youth in Africa when they don't happy to live in Africa. I'm depending to Africa, because when we build a good Africa, also it can be good. So as conclusion, all Africa, they must know the good for having youth. When you have a good youth, you can develop. So for conclusion, this is the conclusion for all African. When you have good youth, it is a blessing. What I ask the all African country, use them, because when you have youth, you can be developed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for that. We can appreciate him. It's a very interesting point. Could this be the reason why young people are not interested in participating in democratic processes? Because first, they don't feel that their countries or their continent believes in them, or themselves do not believe in their own countries or their own continent. It's a very interesting question that I want us to be able to pick our thoughts on this. Who wants to take it? Who wants to say something about that? What do we do to create a sense of belonging for young people of this continent, so that they do not want to see, outside as the place to go?
Thank you, Mucho. I think in the last couple of years, the government has been doing the best in introducing the curriculum, competence-based curriculum in formal education. Though there is an extra mile to go to make sure that what is being taught is also in line with the what is needed at the labor market. So the experience has shown that some of the youth in the aftermath of the genocide, they have been also coming up with some projects to also find solutions to the issues faced by the community. We know some organizations led by the youth, which were created to also address the community issues. CVA can be one of the answer. I know some active youth-led organization representatives here, like Kwibuka Jacques, like Olivier, yes, Rwanda. So what we need is simply also thinking out of the box, thinking critically, and find solutions. We know some projects like Voa Voa, where youth or young people are coming up with solutions to also innovatively find solutions to the issues. So, of course, there will be some people who want to go explore the world, but I think we also need to find potentials surrounding us. If we are able to think critically and realize what can also be innovated, created to also contribute to the national transformation, we are able to do this, and experience has shown that some of the youth have been successfully implementing those projects, and there is hope that this is going to continue.
Right.
I would like to add something on that. I think it goes with lack of information when we find the content not appealing, because I don't know if anyone knows that the youth are considered in the AU Agenda 2063. We are also recognized in the East African policy, and all of those policies talk about empowering youth, that youth are needed for sustainable development, not only development, but for sustainable development. But as young people, we need to see that in action, not in words. We need to see. Let me give you an example. I don't know if anyone knows Ingazi. Ingazi, it's a youth platform that is being developed by UNICEF together with RDB. And it's an earning per sport, and it's a platform that is being designed for young people to have skills and also have job and opportunities being shared on the platform. But they designed a platform and then went on different school, met with different youth-led organization to ask if that platform is appealing to young people, and say, like, we need your input for this program that we're designing for you to make it attractive for you. It's not launched yet, but they're just moving around and asking people. So I think for those policies and any platform that is being designed for youth, there is that need to go back to young people and ask them, we have this for you. Do you find it appealing? Is it meeting the need that you have? We are talking about internet, but you would be surprised that only 38% of young people in Rwanda know the internet services. And if we go to Irembo, 92 still go to the agents to look for those services. So that gives you an information that even though we are saying about internet, we are talking about social media, only 30% have access on that. So we still need to go back to the rural areas. We still need to go back to the village level and inform young people about services and ask them, are these being designed to meet your need, or there is a need of improvement?
Right. Let's appreciate that. Data-driven thought processes. Any other question on the floor? Just raise your hand up. A microphone will be provided to you. I need a lady, please. If there's a lady who has a question fast before we give to the gentleman, I see a hand on. Any lady who has anything to say? I see at the back. Let's rush the microphone there, please. Like the youthful people we are. There at the back.
By names of Patience Muhoza. So I think I don't have a question, but I have a suggestion or a recommendation on how the approaches we have to use, you have to use on us as the youth, the approach you have to use like to the youth in the city maybe would be different from the one you can use to those in the villages, because there's some skills maybe they don't have. You have to teach them, you have to give them some approaches which are totally different from ours, because when you come here and tell us some different points, to them you need some brief explanations to them. Also, there are some engagements you have to bring them near, so as to explain to them, so as to, for them it can be easier for them to be engaged more than us who are here like in the city. So it's a recommendation on the different approaches that you can use. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Let's appreciate her one more time as well. We can pass the mic to this gentleman here. There. Put your hand up so that. Oh, okay. You have it here.
Thank you. Olivier Munyemana, Executive Director of Yes Rwanda. My question is okay? I would like. It's a question, but yeah, I have also an answer. What does youth empowerment means? First, you have to know what youth empowerment means. It means, as young people, we need opportunities, we need skills, we need knowledge, we need mentorship. That's what you first need from you. Just to address a question is by just appreciating Never Again to Honesty. They do their best. They have clubs, they have platform for youth-led NGOs and even their clubs where they do their best just to provide opportunities, skills, even those knowledge to those young people, just to make those changes in their communities. Many times we say things here, but we never go back their community to see what is going on there. That's my question is that, as CVA, already, even you, what strategies, what ways have you put in ways like Never Again? Just I'm saying Never Again because I've experienced that you use just to give those opportunities, those skills, those knowledge. You were saying about job opportunities, even that's fine. Just to amplify those young people. They can't be amplified without having that opportunity, that knowledge, that skills, what they have to say. Just what strategies have you set just to amplify their voices? Thank you.
Before you sit, maybe a question to you. What's your biggest challenge in dealing with young people, especially in encouraging them to participate in democratic processes?
Okay, as you said, saying I'm Olivier Munyemana is the Executive Director of Yes Rwanda. It's a youth-led NGO that is really participating in the community, especially in the field of health. Young people need knowledge. We need skills, we need opportunities just to participate in that democracy. We really need to do so, but you need to have that's what we call basics for doing that. That's what we need. I can answer like that.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's appreciate him as well, please. Let's clap for him. Any other question? Yeah, keep your hand up so that the people with the microphones can see you.
Thank you very much. My name is Shadrach from Davis College. According to the question that you have asked, that the youth are not participating in a local community or democracy. For me, why they're not participating is awareness. Other thing is a culture. For the awareness, they don't have some information about that. Many people, they don't know what's going on. For the culture, we believe that only older people can be considered, or their ideas can be considered. For example, there's some responsibilities that they cannot give you if you are not mature, if you are not married. There is an example. They say you are young, you cannot get this responsibility because you are not able to to handle this. My question is, what do you do to promote that voice for the youth so that they can also be considered in changing culture and increasing the awareness? Thank you so much.
While you still have the mic, just rise up, please. How would you like that to be done as a young person yourself? On awareness and the change of culture. If you were to give a solution yourself, what would you recommend?
Okay. For the awareness, I would like to encourage people or those readers to get closer to the people they're leading through social medias. That is the first one. And get to know what the people are looking for, to hear from them empathetically. Other thing about the culture, because we believe that if you are young, you cannot take some responsibilities, and we believe that we can change that by teaching our children. I mean, those parents, they can teach their children when they are at home to help them to make decisions, and that decisions can be considered.
Thank you.
so
Let's
much.
appreciate him, please. Let's appreciate him. As we pass the mic to the next person, the reason I asked him that is sometimes we have the solutions to some of the questions or the challenges that we face. And I also want to believe that power is not given. It is what? Power is what? It's taken. So you cannot sit there as a young person and wait to be given a chance to do certain things. The context to this point is, if those opportunities don't come, you try to find a way of creating those opportunities. And I think we have that solution within ourselves. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, thank you. I'm Patrick Ebikoze from the Center for Rule of Law Rwanda. We are here saying about amplifying voices in Rwanda, but it seems like we are focusing on educated people who are active on those social medias platforms. However, we still have a large number of uneducated youth in informal sector, like Vamotari, Abanyonzi.
I hope there's no motor in this room to say you are saying they are uneducated.
I'm not saying they are uneducated.
Okay, go ahead.
It seems like it is an informal sector which I believe they are not more active on those social media campaigns, which my colleague said we can raise awareness through those social media platforms. I'm asking what approach is being used to get to those people in informal sector for them to contribute, for them to use their voice, because I believe there is a large number of them compared to these people in formal sector or these people, these educated youth. What is the approach to get to them?
Thank you. I hear you. What would you recommend?
For myself, my recommendation to get to them, I believe, even though it seems like it is informal sector, but there is where they meet. Because I believe there are cooperatives of which they belong to. Do those NYC's committees get to them? Because I believe through those cooperatives or through those approaches, we can get them and they get their voice. Because I believe there is a large number of them there out, which I believe we are not really getting their voice.
Right. Thank you very much. Let's appreciate him. Any response on that, especially those who are actually working with these groups? What are you doing in that area? You want to say something?
Thank you very much. We are more into youth engagement, youth civic engagement, but the informal sector is I would take that as a recommendation we rarely reach out to them because sometimes we do radio talks and TV shows where we emphasize on the need and the role of youth civic participation. But on daily basis, what we do, we engage young people in cooperatives, those in existing structures, NYCs, those in academia, universities, but for mortals and all others who are a bit hard to reach because they're always moving, I would take that as a recommendation. But for others, we do capacity building, representatives of cooperatives, representatives of elected youth leaders in NYCs, representatives of universities, we do capacity building, given that as far as capacity gap is concerned in this case, there is a causal relationship between having skills and participating. You cannot participate in something you don't even know. So we do capacity building we do mentorship and capacity building on public policies and programs so that they can be aware, but we also empower them on how to participate. They may be aware, but go and sit there without utilizing their acquired skills. We teach them on leadership, how to apply all such skills through confidence building sessions and facilitating meetings and all the likes. We do also facilitate roundtable discussions where now we bring these trained youth and local leaders in one room to discuss youth priorities, to see how they can be given space in these spaces which we are considering to be not youth friendly.
I want to ask, and probably to all of you on this panel, especially on the aspect of capacity building, sometimes we hear that word a lot, and some people even said, it's been too much. I want the building, keep the capacity. But on a serious note, especially if we are still saying that the voice is still low and we need to amplify it, could it be that we are doing the same things, expecting different results? How do we change the approach? If this is what they do, but still we hear that we are not getting headway, how do we change that approach? Probably this is what I want to ask as we go.
Thank you. The thing we have to change is that on my side or on the side of CVA, we normally do that, but also we need to change it through engaging youth in all their diversities, as my colleague from Serula was saying. When you engage youth from all their diversities, you include the marginalized groups like youth with disabilities, youth from informal sectors, or you engage youth, not engaging youth like educated youth, university students only, but you have to engage youth like, for us in CVA, we have the model, what we call School of Dialogue. That School of Dialogue is being participated with youth. It is a forum level community whereby we invite or we have youth who meet at monthly basis. So this community school dialogue includes youth from rural and at sector level. But those youth who participate in School of Dialogue are normally the uneducated youth, but also, though they are not educated, they have to access the participation. So we do it in Kinyarwanda. We don't use English because those who participate in the School of Dialogue does not understand English or French. So we do it at sector level, but also we need to have those youth in all their diversities participating or knowing their right to participate. Like I was just sitting here saying, why are the girls or women in this room not asking or not complimenting on this panel session? So we still have the persistent gender norms whereby you find that youth participation on girls and women is still low. So we have to challenge that so that we could engage youth participation, but also considering the participation of girls and young women. So I want to challenge you in this room. So we have to consider this participation, but also knocking the door of girls and women participation. So it could be not good if we do participation for those who are wishing or who are actively participating, but you have to tackle for those who are not participating. We have to tackle for those marginalized groups so that we don't work with active youth empowering them, equipping them with skills, but yet they do have that knowledge. So we have to merge our resources allocations to those who need more than others. Thank you.
Mr. Eugene, I would repeat a million times that empowerment of youth should go hand in hand with answers to the issues. For example, if we want youth to participate in the decision-making processes, we need also to provide them with opportunities to overcome the key issues. For example, if youth are facing an issue of unemployment, which can also lead to unwanted pregnancies, the drug abuse and so forth, we need to make sure that within our planning and programming, we need to ensure that the youth, we allocate some resources to cover the needs of the youth. For example, provide them with trainings on how they can start financial literacy, for example, to ensure that they are also gaining something that is going to give them power to share their views in public fora. Because there is most of the time when you talk to someone, you say, Anangwe, are you working for RTV or NTV? People, sometimes they ask you such questions to know how much you are earning at the end of the month. So if youth don't have the possibility to earn something, it will be also very difficult for them to bring their ideas on the table to be discussed, because people are looking through those lenses. That's number one. Number two, we need to make sure that youth are given opportunities to learn by doing. For example, giving them opportunities for internship to get to know how to apply leadership skills in a work environment, for them to also learn how they can go back to their community and consult their constituencies, because like the student from Davis, if youth don't know how to consult their constituencies, if they don't understand the concept of giving feedback on their needs and priorities, we are providing trainings to those particular groups, you are preaching to the converted. So it's very important that we ensure that the youth representatives understand very well this concept of consulting their constituencies, those cooperatives, and so forth, and ensure that we are supporting the youth initiatives. We really need to celebrate youth initiatives in promoting citizen-centered governance. We've seen some youth using magnetic theater to organize community-based dialogues. We've seen some youth advocating for change on social media platforms where there is maybe social injustices and corruption cases being reported. So we need to reward youth who are coming up with such kind of initiatives to ensure that they trust that the government entrusted in youth, giving them positions like ministers and so forth, that it is real and can make things happen moving forward.
Thank you very much. Sorry for this. I'm not taking the territory away from you still. We would suggest also to give space to people who are with us online, like 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
People who are online.
If there's a question online, please feel free. You can introduce yourself and then give your feedback or address your question to any person in this room right now. Silence means all is clear. All right. So I want us to pick our closing thoughts. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Can we pass the mic?
Ramutse, Nitkwa Matthias, die Diplomat Muri Ambassade Bubiligi Hanoi Chigari. And I would like to thank you all for having this discussion in English so I can participate and listen to you. So I will bring a bit of an outsider's view even worse, of a Belgian diplomat. So it's always a bit risky to comment on whatever that's happening in Rwanda. But I have a question and 2 comments. I will start with stating the obvious, which is that, of course, political systems should be representative in order to deliver for their people, to bring peace and prosperity. And then I had the time to look up a statistic, like the median age in Belgium of the people is 40. In Rwanda, it's 20 years old. But the average age of the parliamentarians is exactly the same. It's 46. So it means that actually Rwandan parliamentarians are 26 years older than the median of the population. So that made me think, and many of the answers came in the discussion. How is this possible? And of course, there are mechanisms and programs that are put in place. The government is rolling out an impressive amount of platforms and programs and initiatives. And yet, apparently, the consensus in the room seems to be, and you keep asking the same question: why are young people apolitical or not enough interested? So I think indeed, it's probably not only a question of external motivation, of providing programs and incentives, but also of internal motivation. Like young people should get the impression that they're not only being heard, but also listened to. So it's a question of trust, of building confidence. And I would really like to commend the organizers of this conference, because usually only people talk about you, but you don't hear them. But here young people take the floor and they come up with their views and what they think that could be improved. So really this kind of event is already part of the solution. A second comment, I would like to take issue with the idea of simplifying politics for young people. I think that's a bit paternalistic because politics are always complicated. You cannot have a new access to justice law and have it easy. What you can try to simplify is the representation of, the presentation of the policy or the communication about it. So rather than simplifying politics, I think the ambition should be to raise the level of education and critical thinking of every young person to the level where they can just read the law and have their own opinion about it. I think that's actually the way forward. It's not about simplifying. And then I would like to fully endorse the point made on rural and urban, because I also always hear that like only 30% of Rwandans have access to internet. So to go to the young people in the countryside, we have to find different solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. While you still have the mic, I want to just ask a follow-up question. What would you recommend on incentivizing the participation of young people in democratic processes? How can that process be incentivized for young people to actually see the need of actually being involved in one way or another?
Yeah, and maybe it's then important to bring success stories, or say, look, we have had this idea coming out of this forum and now it's a law, or this person became a district representative at age 19 and at age 25 he or she is in parliament. Maybe that could be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let's appreciate him, please. I think if you look at the leadership of this country, especially from a ministerial level, I always say this because I go to events when I'm moderating and I call the guest of honor, and that guest of honor is a minister, and people in the room get shocked. You can see from the Ministry of Health, for example. You can see the Ministry of ICT, for example. These are youthful people. And so I think that is what he says in terms of learning from the success stories of those who are leading or representing in different capacities, that it is also possible. You can also do it. Let's pick 2 last questions and then we can come for the closing remarks.
Thank you. My name is James Rutaburingoga from East Province, Gatsibode District, Kiziguro sector. So I'm coming from there to sharing these issues. So democracy is when the power from upper to the low. So as panelists have said that democracy starting in the family. When the parents have any decision, something to do, we have to make a rounding, call youth or children's council sitting and to take a right decision. The problem is our families in Rwanda, they don't give a respect to youth, come to closer to make any to solve any issues. So nowadays the voice of youth is low. Why? Because of the youth, they are scared to speak. They are afraid to stand in front of people to tell something. Because when you don't have something to tell people, you cannot go there in umuganda, in inteko z'abaturage to say something. As a youth coordinator in sector level, when you have any issues to discuss, I deployed the SARS youth to tell people. They are scared. They don't go there to say something. So the big problem is as here as CVA, we have something to say. Go there, tell the high reader to increasing the capital facilitation for student, as something here said that let's to building our leadership. When you go there to ask any internship, you cannot find it because sometimes it's difficult. So let's to increasing our government, building a youth capacity. When you deployed the youth have something to say. So that's why we are here. Let's government increasing the budget in the youth to building a strong capacity in the leadership. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's appreciate him. I like that you cannot speak if you have nothing to say. And I think part of what, even during the introduction, we came up with the Anangwe mentorship program. I think sometimes we have youth who have something to say, but they don't know how to say it or communicating for impact. And this is the initiative that we try to do, and we could look for partnerships in encouraging or increasing the capacity at that level. Let's hear from you. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Tushima Alphonse. I'm from University of Rwanda in political science. The Dr. Ndushabandi is my professor. The question is I have for the panelists. Sometimes we hear the people saying that the dear young persons work hard, you are a future leader. But I want to ask what to do, where, and when. Why you don't give a space to show what you can, to show what you have. What you can, why you don't have a space. Why not now? Why you have to wait for future? I wanted to ask for panelists.
And why are you waiting for the future yourself, first of all? It's a question I'm asking you. What would you need for you to take that space today? I could be simplifying the issue, but I want to understand from your own point of view, what would you want that would allow you to take that responsibility today and not the future?
Okay. As my own view, as a youth, as a young persons, you have a space to do what you have learned firstly in our schools. You have learned first. For me myself, I'm a political scientist. I'm a young political scientist. While when I have to do anything, I have to wait for until the maturity level to show what I have in me. Why not now? Why not have why we have to wait for a person to be a maturity level to show what he has?
Thank you. Thank you. Got you. One last one. At least you spoke, eh? No. Okay. I'll give the two of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. By names of Innocent is Amabyose, and I'm founder of Umuti Harris Foundation. For me, I don't have questions for panelists, but I have questions for participants, and I don't want answers. I just want you to get answers for the questions And first and foremost, I really want to thank CVA for an invitation. I've been in different programs like Generation Leadership Academy Cohort 1. And I first want to comment to my participants' views and points. He said that young people do not want to live in Africa, maybe because, I don't know their reasons, but they have so many different examples of my friends who are living there. Many of them are willing to come back, and they don't even have an opportunity to come back. We have facts. There is no any other beautiful continent like Africa. The same way I can say Rwanda is beautiful. And if you want to leave Africa, I know it won't be even easy. It will take you energy that you can't even spend here investing in other programs that can benefit other youths. I have my mentees here. I graduated recently in the University of Rwanda. I was awarded as Academic Influencer of the Year. I was not in any leadership position, but I believe leadership is not position, but an influence. And quoting our mentors, said, everything rises and falls on leadership. We are talking this, we are youth. Many of us, we don't even hold any big positions. Maybe we are struggling with our new NGOs, civil societies, organizations, and other programs. We are struggling. If someone is not interested to live in Africa, he's not getting what he wants. He's not happy of who he or she is becoming here in Africa. Maybe he has that belief that maybe once he or she reaches there, he or she will be that person. I'm sure he won't or she won't. Because if you are in the 30s, 20 plus, and you are not doing anything, there is no hope that you will do it at your 40s. I'm sure. It's hard to invite participants when you don't have something to tell them, as he said. I'm sure even if you can have something to tell them without something to give them, I'm sure many of them will not even participate. Even as for us, we are participating because we are trying to design the life we want to live in the coming days, and we are struggling these challenges to create opportunities our leaders are not creating for us. Even if there are some opportunities, many of us, we don't deserve them. But we are doing our best. We are here, we are coming from different districts. I know Civic can't pay us this time we spend here. They might even invite some other youths and they can't even come. But for us, we are thankful that we are here and we are running from our elders. We are running from Uncle Theonest. I always call our mentors my uncle and my aunt. We're running from him. He's spending his time here talking to us young people. And the problem, the first problem I want to ask you, have been attending these programs of CV and other programs, and we are keeping coming back. Are you still the same person we used to meet recently? Because many times I come, I just meet someone. Why are you doing? What have you used according to what we learned recently? And he said we are using social medias. I know many of us, we are not using social medias effectively. We don't even, we see news and updates, but we are not doing anything with that updates. Just seeing updates is nonsense. But what we are doing with that updates and news is what is essential. And my other question is that if you are having this, he tried to mention about the curriculum in academics. Have you seen the other collision with the Gikondo campus students? They want them to go back to Huye campus, just remaining 3 months. You know what social media did and other readers. And finally, we had our voices heard. So that's one example. If you are not shouting for good, if you are not working for good, I know even these elders will not react positively, because for them they are safe. They are earning, they are doing for their families. Even they are even in their 50s. For us, we are struggling with our 20s. Some days to come, we'll be suffering with our kids, telling them nothing, doing nothing, and many of us will even leave our work because we have our degrees. We are not being paid with our degrees. That's the problems we are always struggling. And if they are not doing anything, will we keep being silent? If our mouths are silent, let our arms, let our minds not be silent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nuggets of wisdom. Thank you so much for that. I want us now to take our closing remarks, thoughts from the panelists as we close. I think I'm going to start from the far end. Theonesta, I'll start with you as we come this way, and then we'll hear from Dr. Ndushabandi, and then we'll call it a day. If there's anything we need to come out with from this forum today, I want to hear from each one of you. What will that be? And then what is your personal commitment that you're making to ensure that we have a change in the level of participation of young people in democratic processes? Just those two questions as we finish.
Thank you. I believe maybe the majority, I assume, they believe in God. It is written in the Bible that knock and the doors will be opened for you. So I would like to encourage youth present here to do all it takes to leave their comfort zones. Sometimes we say that I don't want to listen to the radio, I don't want to watch TV, I can't watch documentaries, read policies. You are lying to yourself, because even though you are interested in King James or Savory Coco or whoever, politics will reach you straight to your house. So it is good to try your best, learn about those policies, know when decisions are being made, to ensure that your voice is articulated and you advance your need and priority. Number two, we need also to go out and introduce the youth-friendly approaches to ensure that in the community, in the evening assemblies, people are able to listen to our voice by introducing, for example, theater-based discussions, and also songs and poems to ensure that our voices are being heard. And this will require us to work in collaboration with the local leaders. And finally, we need to take responsibility of our lives. If we watch injustice and corruption being committed, and we say, because I'm on the far end of it, I'm not concerned, we are going to become the victims at the end of the day. So we make sure that we use all the means, like for example, the social media. With this digital space, we can be able to influence decisions and report everything that doesn't that affects us to the local leadership and those in power, to make sure that we directly or indirectly shape the future of this motherland.
Thank you. Before coming to the commitment we have, we as CVA, I want to encourage my fellow youth in this room to grab the opportunities you are getting and use it collectively, so that if you get a chance or the opportunity to be the one you wanted to be before, so use that opportunity clearly, because you normally see that youth, they normally blame us that we don't use the opportunities well. So we have to use that opportunity through encouraging or helping other youth to be part of the opportunity you are getting. So I encourage you to be connected or to work together with other youth. And also I encourage you to show what you can do. So come up with good initiatives, come up with good projects. The room is there, but it is waiting for someone to knock. So we have a lot of opportunities, yet we have other challenges limiting youth participation. So we have to knock to that door so that we get someone to open. And also when I come up with the commitment, we as CVA, we are committed to continuous youth empowerment, and we are able to continue to promote youth participation through mentorship programs we are doing, through radio talks, social media engagements with youth, but also we want to see youth changing. We can't train you every day. We can't engage you every day, yet we are not seeing the impact. So it's your room to show what you have got from our dialogues, our programs, so that it encourage that our partners and stakeholders know that what we are doing is for a great impact. So it's your journey or your commitment also to work in that line so that we can get the feedback, like good feedback from youth, participating and also helping others to be on top. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to say that very first, I think as in Kinyarwanda we say jakurishera kurugo. So we have to start with our own. We have to start with our own mindset and challenging ourselves to know beyond. So everything that you are being told, ask yourself why, how, when, what. And as you find answers, I think then you get to the heart of what you're trying to know. And as you get knowledge, as you get empowered, then empower your neighbor. I was saying that these have to start at home, but also parents give what they were given. So sometimes we might be asking what they don't have, but we ourselves know what we are asking for. So if we can't get it from our parents, can we challenge the community? Can we engage ourselves in those civic space and challenge parents to give that to the children? We can equip parents, and then they can also equip. There is one project that we did. It was about sexual reproductive health, and we had what we called male champions, and we would call husbands of the families, but also with their children. And they would come and children would be like, you told me this, but that wasn't what I needed. I should have rather get that. And the parents went back and challenged the community, and we saw a reduction in the unwanted pregnancies in that community. So as young people, we were sitting here, let's go back to where we're coming from, challenge the narrative of where we're coming from, and let's go visit the Ego centers, let's go visit the NYCs, ask them, what are you doing? If you haven't even participated in the election, ask them what, hold them accountable, because if we don't hold them accountable, who else will do that? And I think those are the platform where our ideas and where our voice will be amplified. And second, it goes with the civil society. I would say, as we also plan the programs, we have also to tell them according to the need in the community. We have to first conduct assessment to see if what we are thinking of on the program level will also solve the needs of this community. So as civil societies, as NGOs and other partners, we have to go back to the community and see their exact need, ask them the solution, and make them owners of those solutions that we are bringing. Because if there have been so many sayings that young people come only because you give them a ticket, you give them transport, but because when we are making budget, we put that transport and we have to go back to the donors, and so that we did the transport. But then that after the program, you see there is no ownership because people were coming because of that transport. But how can we now plan and make programs, even if there is no transport, young people can still come, other people can still come. So if we are making programs that solve the need according to those people trying to solve those needs for, I think there will be more ownership of that. Thank you.
I won't go far from what they have said. I will emphasize that the cornerstone to amplifying youth voices comes from within. If we don't be proactive and wait for others to bring opportunities for us, to us, it won't work, to be honest. Let us start with the resources we have. You know, the NYC is decentralized to the village level. Village is not that geographic location which is big to the extent you need transport to meet. You can organize them yourself and meet and hold the coordinator accountable. Let this person in charge represent the youth and needs. If you can't do that, maybe you have smartphones. Let us use the spaces which we have to amplify our voices. There is a training we had, a dialogue we had. That's when youth raised the concern that their priorities are not considered in Imihigo. If they haven't raised that issue, we couldn't have organized consultation meeting to gather their inputs to inform Imihigo of this coming year. But we did so because they shows that there is that issue. If you don't prove what you are able to do and where you got stuck while trying to participate, no one is going to recognize that. What I advise young people in the room and those following online is that we should have a mindset of doing hard things. Waiting for a manual, for a policy to be translated into a video is just a summary to give you the overview, but we should have this mindset and culture of reading so that we get the insights, deep insights, and see where we can contribute our efforts. Let us not always wait for the approaches to be simplified. We are not made to do simple things. Let us have this mindset of doing hard things. In CRD, as part of CRD and I personally, we commit to keep empowering young people, but also adjusting the approaches we are using so that they are tailored to their needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Eric, it is your chance to give us your closing thoughts. What do we do from here? What is the commitment that you're making from the people within the academia? If there's anything we need to remember from this conversation today, what would it be in summary?
Thank you very much. What I can say is, from academic perspective, is to thank all the organizers and then saying the next conversation can be how elders can participate in youth forums. This is a paradigm shift. I think if all this is done, there is a huge opportunity now to lead and bring leaders to the board. Then they can lead the forum. So the empowerment I'm talking about is, for example, the very first time this year, we instituted a new course of mentorship, political leadership, and political recruitment. I could advise that to encourage people to be for peer-to-peer mentorship. I young people on this room, in this room, I think Gusenya Ibigari, I hope I can speak in Kinyarwanda, Gusenya Ibigari on useless relationship between young people is to establish peer-to-peer mentorship. Second aspect is young people and more spaces for elders and young people mentorship. Another point is about to shift from this understanding of participation in terms of political participation only, and to encourage some spaces with economic mentorship, bringing private sector business owners, practitioners, and you call them to you guys, young people, and to initiate this conversation in terms of sharing experience, success practices, and really to address the poverty generation. And this will include the economic empowerment as we are developing those spaces. So we are talking about capacity need and education. It's very important this in our courses at the university, we co-produce knowledge with young people and we produce knowledge for problem solving. Young people be capable to understand the global dynamics and to project themselves in the future in a forecast analysis and to be capable really to be ready and prepared for being more competitive at the global level. So the economic empowerment, I was insisting that it's very important that for internship for young people. Internship should go with seminars and conferences with small business owners, enterprises, and the private sector to bring them to the young people to the university. So as we are continuing for the social empowerment, civic education, and develop less the political dependence mind, going for social responsibility and social engagement to be relevant for the Mudugudu, for the families, for responsible citizens. Then the political empowerment can continue as we are bringing this leadership academy to young people to make awareness as we are developing communication skills. It's very important. We have been talking in English, we have been talking in Kinyarwanda sometimes, but we are having these challenges of languages. And this can be just overcome if we develop space for young people to communicate, to lead communication spaces. And then lastly, I will respond always to the invitation for young people calling me for sharing experience, but let's bring elders to come and learn and share what we are learning from young people today. Then we can mobilize funds to sustain the work of youth-led initiatives like these ones. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Let's appreciate him as well. I think we've had a very good conversation, and it should not end here. All we always say is we start the conversation, and we've just laid the foundation for that conversation. And I believe that we can be able to continue this conversation in other platforms. I want to say that politics or political processes or democratic processes are too big to be left to the politicians only. It concerns all of us. Everything we do today is as a result of a political process. And so we need to actually actively participate in whichever way possible. My commitment, I have a talk show on Rwanda TV called The Summit every Wednesday, 9 p.m. I hope to bring this panelist on the show. It's a commitment I'm making. We are also designing a town hall edition of the summit like this, where we have a panel and a live audience. And I hope that we will have a conversation on the same or even build it further on that particular platform. So that's a commitment I'm making. And I hope that we can, thank you, we can be together on that. If you have a chance, please scan the barcode. Would like to connect with you more on that banner. Scan the barcode and let's connect and let's see how we can support each other in amplifying the voices of young people, because that is something that is dear to my personal heart. Thank you to the organizers for organizing this. I want to say thank you to you who have also been seated here. As always, my name is Eugene Anangwe.